Hello, this is Valerie Aiello, and you're listening to IdeaDiary. Thanks for coming back to my office and hanging out. So, I was messaging with a friend, and I was trying to explain what I'm doing, which is I'm learning how to talk to the camera. I'm learning how to come every day with some sort of podcast, something valuable to say, and learning how to have a discussion by myself with no one except basically a camera and a microphone without having any human interaction, which is very hard. At least it is for me. But I think my goal overall is if you were to say work in an office of some kind and you went to a coworker's desk and you had a chat for 5, 10, 15 minutes or had an hour meeting, whatever it is, but just somebody that you like to communicate with one-on-one every day, and it kind of made your day better and maybe sparked some ideas or motivated you or just kind of made your work life more fun. I think that's kind of the point of my podcast. And just in general, I'm having fun learning how to communicate and learning how to talk about the things that are on my mind in a somewhat normal way. I am very bizarre. I'm not trying to be like the most professional businesswoman in the world that's going to impress everybody for every single situation. I feel like there's a lot of people like that, and they're great, and they hold a lot of power in their confidence and in their inside. And I do have a lot of confidence, but I just kind of want to be me. Whatever that is, I just want to show up as myself. And if somebody thinks that, oh, I'm not successful enough, or I'm not professional enough, or I'm not whatever, I think it doesn't really matter, and the world's kind of changed. So if you have a goal, which my goal is to communicate with like-minded people, I want everyone who knows me to feel like their life is better because they know me. That's kind of my goal in life. I guess it's great to change the world and all that stuff, but what I'm kind of working on is just being the best me that I can be and helping others that I know be the best them they can be. Does that make sense? Maybe not. I was watching this video. So Guru Jagat, her name is one of those spellings of the name that could be how you pronounce it might be a little bit different, but Guru Jagat, she has something called Rama Business School. So it's kind of, she mingles kind of yoga and spirituality with business school. So I really like a lot of her videos. I really like them because I feel like similar with creatives that have a hard time charging for their art, spiritual people, especially yoga people, have a hard time charging for their services too. So it's very similar. But I can tell from her conversations and kind of the videos that she produces that she doesn't have any fear about money, and she doesn't have that. She doesn't have that thing where people feel like, oh, I'm a creepy rich guy and I must be using people, or I must be a scammer, or I must be, you're greedy, especially when you're a spirituality person and you're wealthy and you're opening these different locations and you have these business school type of panels and you're talking about business and you're talking about money and you're talking about success. I just can tell just from watching her, she does not seem to have any of that baggage. She has let it go And I don't know how successful she actually is, but she is coming to YouTube, at least, with tons of ideas, tons of topics, and they seem really pretty good, like pretty good advice. So I was listening to her episode where she is interviewing a lawyer. It's a lawyer that, just a regular lawyer, cool lawyer, San Francisco lady, I think. But where she's a different type of lawyer, I think, is because she's delving into her mind, into her spirituality, and looking things at different angles. And I really liked some of the things that she was saying. It's a good interview. So I'll put the link in the description in case you want to go watch it. But she was talking about things feeling super creative right now. Since the apocalypse happened, a lot of people have a lot of anxiety and things are falling apart. And we're being pushed into this future. And she was saying that with her business people and just in general, like, it feels things are super creative right now. And I have that same exact feeling. It's crazy. And she says there's an underlying patience happening in her world. It was already pretty slow, and I've slowed down a lot to the point where I'm like precision with precision getting weird goals accomplished that have seemingly been hard to do, notoriously throughout my work life. But I'm not doing it. I'm not like pressuring myself to do it. There is some sort of underlying patience that's happening. She also says too, like, we're being forced into the future. That's what I feel like. I feel like a lot of the stuff that's happening now, a lot of it was kind of already happening, like people moving out of the cities, people working from home. It was already kind of happening, but it's like this push into doing it. Everyone has to do it now. Everyone has to get on Zoom. Everyone has to switch all their business to, or maybe add to their business, online sales, using the internet to make our lives function. Whatever this video is about, we were definitely on the same page. So she talks about Zoom meetings and talking to a camera and stuff. She says you need to get over being afraid of the camera, which is exactly what I'm feeling, which is why I'm here and I'm talking and I'm practicing, and it is painful and it's not very good, but I feel like the only way to get better is to come every day. And she says everyone needs to figure out how to transmute and connect in a less connected world. And I think that's true. I think the people that are holding the Zoom meetings and just caring about finding a connection through the internet, even though you can't be there in person, the people that are taking it seriously and showing up and, putting on something nice and brushing their hair and coming with enthusiasm and coming to actually have a conversation instead of just kind of showing up and being there. She talks about, so she's a merger and acquisitions lawyer, and her goal is to be the lawyer that can take that Zoom call, can handle those Zoom meetings. So she's working on her skills, and she talks about how the first time she was doing it, it was painful to watch and it wasn't very good. But I think this being able to have a YouTube channel, be able to communicate your thoughts and your feelings, I think is going to become very important. If not already, it's going to be very important very soon, which is kind of the reason why I've jumped off Facebook and Instagram, because I wasn't learning a skill using those platforms. I wasn't getting much out of it. I do like seeing other people's life updates kind of thing, but just kind of being some like weird, not a real friend, looking at somebody's, not that you aren't a real friend, but I'm saying you're not being a real friend by just clicking like on someone's post and then not talking to them for 5 years. Like, being friends means you actually have to communicate with each other and talk to each other and be there for each other. And phone calls are totally great. But I think pushing ourselves forward into using the camera and using our face and our quirkiness, I think is going to be really important. So I'm here for it. Another thing that she said in this interview, which was really interesting. So she does a lot of negotiating, and she says when she goes into a negotiation, she respects everyone in the room, even if they don't deserve your respect. And I really like that. I think that's maybe a Texan trait, kind of naturally. Just, you're nice to everyone. And I always get a kick out of when people are super rude, being super nice back to them, and let them stew in their own whatever's going on in their life. I like how she says that that's how you respect everyone, you get the engagement, you get the other person to talk to you, and you don't want to pitch something that's one-sided. So it's never about like, everything that I get, this is all that I want. You get nothing. She talks about when you're having negotiations, you kind of hear what the other person wants and you bring it in, and you maybe talk about something else, and then you figure out how are you going to get what you want by still giving them what they want, and then you kind of pitch your side so that I think what she was kind of saying, like, it feels like it's their idea, but really you're getting what you want and you're presenting it to them in this like perfect way that they're going to say yes to you because they think that you're giving them what they need. So I don't know. I could imagine she has a lot to say about negotiations and stuff like that. But, it's an hour interview, something like that. There's only so much you could talk about in that amount of time. But it's what she scratches the surface on, I think, is all really good points. She also talks about when she's hiring people, typically she's not, she prays for perfect employees to come into her life. I think she said she had about 90 employees that work under her. And she says typically when a great employee, she comes across a great employee, it's not usually someone looking for a job. She has to pitch the job to them. So instead of, the typical way when you're in a job interview and you're hoping they pick you, so you're trying to sell yourself, a lot of the times to get the good employees, she's pitching the job to someone who doesn't even want it. And she's trying to get them to come over to her side. And she talks about when she's doing that, she's trying to be as big and multi-dimensional as she can to them. And she's trying to make sure that they understand that she's, like, her job and her company and what she's offering is an interesting and safe place to be. But just when she said that she tries to be as big and multi-dimensional when she's, looking at employees, that really resonated with me because I feel like that's what I want to do. That's what I want to be, like, coming here. I want to be big and multi-dimensional and thoughtful and interesting and just, I don't need to be like super deep or anything. I kind of like just having something interesting to say, like saying what's on my mind. And, I like the 10, 15-minute show, and then I'm out the door and then talk about something new, and then maybe come back to something that maybe needs more discussion. I don't know. I just feel like thinking and talking and getting through these crazy weird shows, I think I'm really growing. I think everyone should have a daily podcast, whatever your business is. If you have clients, you have customers, if you're selling something, this is what needs to happen right now. I'm not saying forever, but this next kind of block of 5 years, if you're trying to connect with people, you don't need paid ads. Sometimes paid ads are great for certain businesses, but I feel like what you can gain using a daily podcast platform and trying to give something valuable to your customers, I feel like that is way more valuable, and that's something you can't really buy. You have to show up and you have to be there, and then you've got to hope that you're interesting enough or you're valuable enough to hope that people want to engage with you, want to connect. So if you are thinking about a daily podcast, just get on it and just know it's probably going to be bad like this one for a good year before you start figuring it out. And it doesn't matter. I'm guessing if I wanted to delete everything a year from now and start over fresh, I could do that. I don't know why that I would, because I think when people look back and they think, oh, this YouTube channel or this podcast is so polished and so great, I think it's a helpful tool to go back and look at their first videos and what they were doing early on. And I think that's really motivating to see how far some people come. Anyways, that's the show for today. I still don't know how to end the show, so I'm just going to play the music.